I
Magoo.
mean, hi, yes, Tracy.
That's it. I was going to ask you to say your name one more time. Sorry, because the recording
Ah,
went on after you just started that. My
okay.
apologies. Sorry to
That's
interrupt.
okay. That's okay. One more time. Megumi Azekawa. I'm a board certified music therapist here in Tacoma over 10 years. And now, yes, I'm currently partnering with Tepra Music Outreach as a music therapy coordinator. We actually have two full-time music therapists besides me. That's very exciting because it's been just me doing community music therapy for a long time. And anyway, so yeah, without my long introduction, I just wanted to just jump in and then share screens and talking about music therapy and what happened this Wednesday about legislative session. So here we go. And I don't mind questions anytime. However, after all these 3+ years that we were so accustomed to Zoom, Teams environment, I'm not really good at checking the chat box when people are politely giving me questions while I'm presenting. So either Tracy or Patty, if you can help me to check if somebody put the questions on the chat box, that would be very helpful. So please interrupt me anytime. That's just totally fine. Okay, so it's just the overview. So what's music therapy? Music is therapeutic without music therapist, of course, but what does it mean to call what we do as music therapy, and what does it mean to autism community, and why, of course, and what kind of goals or objectives or needs that we address during the sessions. And I'm going to talk more, of course, deeper into who could be ideal music therapy candidates. It's not that we were selective, but who might be more inclined to thrive in a music therapy environment than others. And then lastly, legislative action updates are, of course, how to access music therapy in between of these things. Okay. Okay, so what's music therapy? This is like the definition. So we are the healthcare professional who uses music as a tool to address non-musical yet functional daily needs. So that covers so many different aspects. So physical, cognitive, emotional, social emotional, behavioral, even spiritual of individuals' needs. So it's just very unique and broad the areas that we address in therapy. And so why music therapy? So we are evidence-based practice, of course. And as a profession in the United States, it happened actually more concretely after the World War II by treating the soldiers out of the war who are wounded physically or mentally. And since then, we've been as a music therapist, quote unquote, doing the work for so many clinical populations. So I usually say between the families who are expecting welcoming babies, from there to people who are grieving because they lost someone, within that lifespan, we have so many different clinical populations or communities we serve, and including autism. And our professional association, American Music Therapy Association, is actually focusing on boosting up the number of research in autism and music research. So we are really focusing on serving autism community in general. So as I said, music is therapeutic. You probably have some music to pick you up or winding you down, and oh, that's so like soothing. But what's so different from music music is therapeutic, and what music therapists do. Of course, we were intentional, we are deliberate, and we are the clinicians who has the knowledge to meet with people's needs with the clinical lens. When you observe the sessions that we do with the kiddos with autism or whoever, we look like as if we're just having fun with music because it's music. But we have a clinical lens and then structure in mind, and we know what kind of response we want to elicit or wants to see in the client. So by saying that we are all musical in a way that our physiological, biological responses are rhythmic. So our brains love music. Rhythm. So we talk about elements of music, not just the music as in general, you know. So rhythm is the most important aspect of music use in music therapy, because our brain loves music. I keep saying that. Our brains love rhythm. Therefore, we incline to respond to it. If let's just see, well, this time I'd like you to just put something in the chat. What are our physiologically, physically, rhythmical by nature that we do without thinking? Could you just answer some in the chat box, or just unmute yourself and then tell me what can be? Yes, breathing, stimming. Yes, clicking the pen. I love that. Patting baby hum. Right. Yeah, it's all great. Of course, breathing, right? If breathing is not rhythmic, we need to address it. If walking is not rhythmical, means it's not stable, we need to address it. Heartbeat, of course, if it's not rhythmical. Even crying, chewing, sucking, and stimming. Yeah, sure. Everything is rhythmical, the things that we physiologically, physically do. So a lot of research that we're focusing on talking about how music influences brain, therefore the music processing influencing the brain bring the positive change in behaviors, thought process, and mood regulation. And we clinically customize, craft our interventions by using music. Does it make sense? And another thing is the music and memory. Music has a pathway, we say highway, to limbic system in the brain, where the emotion regulations and memory things are, processed. So yes, we can also tap into not only positive but negative memories too. So we talk about how harmful music can be if music is not carefully administered in a therapy session. So, therefore,
Megumi, there was a comment in the chat about reading a recent article saying that music modulates dopamine functioning.
Thank you. Well, I can talk about that too. So, I work with people with Parkinson's a lot, and their dopamine, so basal ganglia in the brain is one of the things that they get affected by Parkinson's, and dopamine decrease is one of the things that it affects by having a Parkinson's. So in that scheme of talk, I also found the research saying that by anticipating the fact that your preferred music is coming next to listen, that could increase the dopamine level too. Yeah. So, and I don't know population specific how it works, but there is a basic understanding such as what I just said. Yeah, exactly. So singing and speech. Well, that overlaps so many things, right? Yes. Yes, Samantha, I can get there soon about gait and music therapy or rhythm. Okay, singing and speech, that two functions really overlap with the system that we use and also what we do. But a number of research states that when we process singing compared to regular speech, we activate more number of brain areas. So one classic example is people who have aphasia by stroke, or having a brain injury type of things.
Can you explain what that is?
Right. So aphasia. Well, if there are speech language pathologists, please chime in. When people can't say stuff, even if they know what they want to say, so there is a motor control and coordinations and stuff are not working properly. So, but tends to be brain, our people's brain have a speech center in the brain on left side, not everybody. But we can compensate by rerouting, by using more likely right side of the brain to compensate, making the speech pathway by tapping in, by using intonation of speech, mimicking that using musical context. So for example, like when I see a stroke patient and they cannot say a lot of things, even if they want to say, they know what to say. So they want to say just a simple sentence like, I'm tired. And we can, of course, practice that, but there is some inflection, speech prosody in it. So we will kind of exaggerate it. And then, I'm tired. I'm tired. It's kind of speech, sing speech. How do you say that? Singing. Yes.
You did a great job explaining that.
Thank you.
So, how I like to explain it for my kids with autism is that the brain, the area of singing is different than the area of speech that's in typical developing areas. And so when patients have aphasia or traumatic brain injury, the music center is still isn't damaged, and so that's we're able to reroute it through that because they're stored in two different areas.
Yeah. So thank you, and that's totally great. So the thing is about this brain is that there is no speech center. I mean, there is no one spot or like area that really process music as a collective thing. Like music has so many different elements: rhythm, pitch, perception, harmony, and if it's involving reading or words, that's one thing that brain processes. So different areas of the brain activate. So a lot of neuroscientists and music therapy researchers are trying to figure out how that really helps to enhance when the traditional typical route may be compensated. So anyway, and a gait and music therapy, again, this goes back to rhythm. So even if the motor control area, so gait area, like walking or movement area of the brain is affected by whatever they're experiencing, we started finding out that rhythmic input, so external auditory input, but it's particularly embedded in the context of music, not just a metronomic cue like this or type of rhythm, which also helpful. But if that's embedded in the music, that is more effective. So if you go to YouTube and search music therapy and gait training, there are more than a couple videos come up. And then you see pre and post, like a stark difference when people are not walking really smoothly or stably, but once they are walking to the beat of the music, they really entrain to the rhythm, and then their gait more becoming symmetrical. So those research just demonstrates that the facilitated music intervention foster individuals' ability in developing or improving or maintaining physical, cognitive, psychosocial, behavioral skills. So you don't have to memorize it and try to figure out which line goes where, but I just made this. Music has on the left side. Oh, thank you, buddy. Sorry. Music has, on the left side, these kind of response by just being a sheer musical experience that we experience, whether it's singing, listening, could be creating, like composing, okay? But music therapists in between bring about that effect into music therapy interventions to address certain goals that each patient, client, individual needs. Okay, it could be, again, physical motor functions, anxiety management, depression management, pain management, pain is a lot of things happening in hospital settings when people have a pre or post operations or cancer treatment. You know, music therapy does not stop pain, but we alleviate by having them redirect to something more pleasant and enjoyable, and so that they can tolerate the treatment or having improved quality of life so that they can sustain being in treatment. And therefore that leads to recovery actually faster. Okay. Okay. All right. And music is innately social experience, if it's in a group especially. So we will use that aspect a lot to do with that, especially well, among the age groups. So music therapy is an individualized experiences. Yes, we have interventions, we have some structures or standardized techniques, depends on which music therapist you see, because we have different additional trainings that we can take to enhance our abilities as well. And the credentialed music therapist we talk about a little bit later, but we are both certified music therapists having college training and going through internship. It's actually really rigorous, and taking the board certification exam to become a music therapist. And systematic delivery, it's not a chance use of music that, oh, this is therapeutic. It is a planned use of music in a therapeutic context. And of course, last but not least, therapeutic relationship to cultivate, create a rapport between clients or individuals and therapists to bring the best possible therapy effective. Yeah.
Megumi, I'm going to interrupt you for just 1 second and just say
Yes.
I really appreciate that kind of overview, because I think people have all different levels of understanding about music therapy.
Yeah.
And I don't know that everyone realizes that, you have various, have a treatment plan and you have specific goals you're working on.
Yeah.
And specific ways you're doing it. It isn't just that you're involving music and spending time with the person. So
Yeah.
thanks for highlighting that.
Thank you, Patty. And yes, so yeah, we are the therapist, the food, just you, not just, our tool is music. And I just also wanted to emphasize, we do not possess music using in a therapeutic context. Of course, other therapists can use music in their therapy sessions if they feel comfortable and, knows how to use it. It's just not the same as music therapy. And there are other type of therapeutic music practitioners in a different title and then level of training, and they have a specific way to use music, like a harp therapist for hospice, and we do the hospice music therapy too. But again, what we bring is different. So you might see, if you have a chance to observe, like we use egg shakers, and we have them shake egg shakers with particular reasons. It's not because it's fun only and then colorful and it's easy to hold. That's one of the reasons probably, but it's not just having fun. So thank you. And unique interventions. And another thing is to emphasize is that, and I have another slide to explain about, is that having an inclination or having a background in music is not necessary to have music therapy. As long as somebody who want to try and then, experience music therapy is open to having music therapy experience, that's all it matters. And I want to explain that a little bit more in detail later. But what kind of interventions we use is, of course, we involve instrumental playing. Again, we don't require. It's all depends on what the goals and needs and preference and comfortability and ability, that all included. So this picture is just a picture. Somebody's playing the guitar. Yeah, we music therapists use the guitar, keyboard, piano, and singing, and other various small percussion instruments or different instruments in general. But just wanted to say, it could be egg shaker, shaking, could be guitar playing. It just depends on what we could do with that certain individual. and music and movement. We could do I'm just thinking from my experience, I worked with autism communities largely with the kiddos. I have young adult experience, but more likely kiddos. And we have done, movement, not dance, but we could dance too, to the music. But moving the body, but at the same time, I just wanted to show you today. So do you see these instruments okay? Is my camera showing?
Yes.
Okay, great. So these are called paddle drums. And what we do is have kiddos or anybody who needs this intervention hold these mallets if they're able. And I show this left, I'm going in your direction, left and right with the rhythm of the song that they're ought to do. And what they do is to cross midline. That's the goal. And they can go left and, right and left, or left and right. So we are not creating like music together necessarily, but we are using the rhythm. So what this intervention does, crossing the midline, that's one of the developmental goals that they need to achieve, and then that's being identified in assessment. And so somebody want to say something? No? Okay. And then, sorry, I just kind of spaced left and right. And then this instrument is particularly helpful because the 3 reasons. Our brains love multisensory stimulations. So you can see where the brain is if they're able. They can hear because it's music and auditory feedback is there. They can feel it, what they're doing. So brain loves when we have more than one sensory input to comprehend what they ought to do. So there are many other things we can say, but that's one of the things that, music could do with the movement goals. And music listening can be so many different reasons to do this. Could be, again, like pain management, could be mood regulation, self-regulation, right? But again, it's not just the playing CD or playlist that we think that's good. Then we should mass produce the playlist, but it's not, it's always individualized, customized. So somebody's You're My Sunshine is a positive experience, but could be a devastating experience. So we really need to know what kind of music and genre. Somebody's heavy metal could be the really soothing experience. And we try to meet where they are at right now. So it could be some quote unquote sad song. It's not to make them depressed even more, but we meet where they are at right now, and then bring out where they want to be at. So it's just, that's the way we can musically empathize that individual when we're meeting. And songwriting, again, we are not asking anybody to have music theory classes taken in college level. So it could be them saying the words, and we bring like improvisational, like a melody or chord progression, and just go with it. Or we have a song as a template, and we take like a musical Madlib. So we take some of the words of the song that they know, and then they will put their own words in there so that they have a sense of control and choice making that they could do, and they can express. And it could be based on the theme that the group is talking about, and then we do collectively as a group team effort to make a new song, kind of things. So, but those are just a few examples. Music is just so many. Thank you, Tracy. So many ways to use, but those are some of the examples. And we nowadays, of course, music and technology are huge things. I don't know whether Google Chrome Music Club that you go online on the website and then they can make music. And actually we can do in a classroom setting, stuff like that. Okay, I don't know whether this is, it's a little bit busy slide, but I just wanted to say music as a core of the things that we use for music therapists. And then, oh, sorry, so many different goals and things that we address. Yes, Peter, thank you. Yeah, so Peter was sharing that one of the most common special interests I run into specific bands and musical genres. We talk about those things as a topic, and then also like, you know, try to, that could be a great, again, empathy or compassion skill development too, you know, to understand how others may like, and then how to effectively, safely express themselves in a group setting. And again, not to forget, it's not about only verbal communications. The biggest things the music could provide is a nonverbal expression because it's music. Yeah, singing is sort of verbal, but area of the musical expression, but we have instrumental playing, we can have vocalization. So again, we can really meet at the individual's ability levels and what they are preferred or comfortable to do with, and then encourage them to express. Yeah, so these are the goals, like a common goals, but it's not exhaustive list. Okay, next slide. So, who are the ideal music therapy candidates? We welcome everyone, of course, but who could be? So simply liking music does not necessarily mean the music therapy will help someone in functional way. Almost every day I get an email, my child loves music and I want to try out music therapy. And of course, yeah, that's awesome. Let's just start the processing, you know, go through the process and see if this is a good fit. That's the best way to start. But just to let you know, even so, music may not be the, you know, music therapy may not be the best fit for that individual. So is for any other therapies, right? So these are the small number of pointers to look out for if you want to defer somebody to music therapy. If you have, you know, somebody and then they want to try out without these points, please send to the music therapist, of course. But these are a guide, helpful guide. Has the individual seems to be more engaged when music is present? Does the individual accomplish tasks or transitions already more easily when facilitated by music? Has the individual tried other therapy but seems to show little improvement due to inability to engage? Has the individual regulate themselves better when listening or feeling steady rhythm? I encountered in the past some kiddos, autistic kiddos, have headphones and then listening to music throughout the day. And it was the hardest challenge for him or her to take the headphone out and then listen something else, right? Because they need the self-regulation and I'm asking them to go outside of the norm or what they feel comfortable or safe. And I don't push that, but our goal was for them to be able to expose and then do the sensory regulation with less input from the headphone 24/7. So, you know, that could be a goal, but it may not work for like entire population in the world. I just wanted to specify that. Okay, am I missing anybody's chat messages? I don't think so. All right, okay. So licensure, wow, legislative action update. So, you know, your community invited me to speak sometime this spring, and I was letting Patty know I'm just so busy with this. So maybe April's the earliest. And so thank you for accommodating for my schedule because the legislative session is still going until next Sunday for the legislators. but for people advocates like us, ended Wednesday at 5. So music therapist in Washington, been working on getting a state recognition for last 17 years. And I'm doing like the last 10 years. And licensure really helps with a number of reasons. That's the state recognition that we get the title protection, meaning, that's all about consumer protection and increasing the access to music therapy. And sorry, my Mac just doesn't behave with my click. I'm so sorry. So long story short, we passed the bill as a substitute House Bill 1247 to license music therapists starting 2025. I know it's 2 years away. It's always that way. So what that means for now, what we know for now is that 2 things: consumer protections and increased access to music therapy. Consumer protection means we get the regulatory standards for music therapists. Frankly, right now, anybody can claim music therapist in state of Washington. There is no law to regulate who should be the music therapist in the state of Washington. So what that means is that you may get a music therapist, quote unquote, who may not know what they're doing with the music, frankly. So there is no public safety being implemented. It's a huge deal. I mean, yes, we may not have a scalpel, but we know how impactful positivity or negativity music can do. So for example, if premature babies in a NICU needs to, regulate the heartbeat, it's a baby, premature baby. They don't talk. They don't know how to express. They may not be able to cry in a way that other babies might be able to do. But then if somebody come in without training and understanding and try to sedate or soothe baby, it can really lower their heartbeat or go up their heartbeat to the level is, a critical level. So that's just one small example. It can be so many different ways to harm our psychological well-being by mistakenly using music under the name of music therapy. So it is very important to know who the music therapists are, what kind of a training to claim themselves as music therapists. So I am a board certified music therapist. So that is a bachelor's level, entry level profession. And I explained how the training goes. So those are going to be validated at the state level in the state of Washington in 2015. So anybody who claims to be a music therapist needs to be state licensed.
Megumi,
So yes.
Can you just briefly, kind of say, to become board certified, what did you have to do? Can you kind of list off so people understand? Because it's not, takes a second.
All right. So like other therapy professions, our profession is still bachelor's and entry level, means you need to go to university with a music therapy training program. So, and then we have $1,200 in total of clinical, educational practice before going to sitting on the board certification exam. And then once you pass the exam, you can claim yourself as a board certified music therapist. So our credential is MTBC. So in Washington, there's only one university who offers a music therapy program, which is Seattle Pacific University. There are many more, of course, in the nation, throughout the nation, but that's the one we have in Washington.
I just remembered you telling me before, like for your degree, you had to play an instrument fluently.
Yes.
Like there were specific. Yeah.
So my main instruments happen to be saxophone, but I also play the piano since I was 5. So I'm quite competent in piano too. But as a music therapist, we need to pass competency exams within a training in college: piano, guitar, and singing. And we take those percussion classes, so we know how to play drums, stuff like that. And then if somebody plays the flute or somebody plays the violin and then be a music therapist, then they might be able to use their own, main instruments, depends on the context, if it's called for. Yeah. And then we take 100 hours of continuing education training every 5 years to be recertified. Like, teachers do the same thing, and any other therapists do the similar things. Yeah. So that's the way. And I have a master's, and it's not necessary, but it's helpful, of course, because it's an advanced degree. That's one thing. And so increased access music therapy, probably everybody is so curious about. I just wanted to talk about it by looking at the second SINGSET's coverage, insurance, reimbursement, and grants. So to state licensure does not directly relate to, oh yes, we insurance companies gonna reimburse music therapy in January 1st, 2025. However, right now in state of Washington, it's really hard to obtain the insurance reimbursement as a music therapist or music therapy services. A, because we were out of network providers. B, insurance companies tend to require the healthcare profession to be state licensed. So we are now finally at the door of the insurance companies to be able to knock in and negotiate. So that is a huge win. But throughout the 17 years, no matter what, people ask for music therapy. That's why we were actually achieving this licensure, because everybody spoke up. Really big number of people asked, and I'm really excited about this achievement. So during that time, we've been talking to DDA, other functions of DSHS, and then different state agencies, and even OSPI and school levels and school districts. So I'm gonna just jot down how to get paid or how to be covered as of now. And so, of course, private pay, you can come to us anytime and have services. But for DDA, there are basically two things that cover music therapy services. For individual sessions, one of the waivers called the SIBS is the only waivers that cover music therapy. And Ted Brown Music Outreach is SIBS provider. So yes, we take SIBS clients. And from my experience alone, number of autistic individuals are on a SIBS waiver that I've been serving. And DDA SIBS waivers are actually under the music therapy services under complementary therapy services with E, not I, complementary therapy services. And that covers SIBS and PASAR. PASAR is a federally mandated program for people with developmental disabilities who are living in nursing home facilities. So what that means is I could go see clients who have developmental disabilities, tend to be older adults, but can be in the 30s or 40s. I met as young as 19 years old who just happened to be living in a nursing home. So that could be somebody who is autism. And so that is coverable by this complementary therapy services. And then the other is a community respite. So there are a number of waivers in DDA services and SIBS IFS. I don't remember two others waivers might have a community respite. But if somebody you are working with, or your child has a community respite, you could utilize that dollars to come to one of our music therapy based groups, not the individual sessions, just for the groups only. And another one is not DDA, but it's Aging and Long-Term Servicing Administration, so older adults, COPS waivers. I don't know whether this really apply for autism communities, but like PASAR, this might be. This is for older adults, but it's available. And we were on to becoming this waivers providers, but we are not as of yet. And insurance, private insurance reimbursement, out-of-network provider still can get reimbursed. It's case-by-case basis. I know one colleague in Seattle whose client's parents submitted the super bill, meaning that they pay music therapists out of pocket, but then we give them a receipt with the CPT code and they submitted. The clients themselves submitted and they got the reimbursement. That could happen. To do so, we have similar, small steps that you need to go through, such as, yes, you need to have a doctor's referral and letter of medical necessity to state that this is a medically necessary service. And then along with that document, you send a submission form with the receipt of the CPT code on it. There might be a chance that music therapy can be reimbursed. And yeah, so that's really kind of roundabout way to do it, but that's just the one way that we could seek right now for the private insurance reimbursement. And we hope to be in network provider in coming 2-3 years with the state licensure, but it is a long road to hoe, and we have no guarantee as of yet. Another thing is probably you all know BENS Fund. So I've had a number of BENS Fund recipients coming to my way to seek music therapy. So yeah, they provide family with individual with autism for $1,000 a year when you apply for a grant. I don't know the eligibility, but you know that somebody can apply for it, and then they pay us, the providers, $1,000, and then we will utilize how many of a sessions for. Agreed upon the usually clients' families. Okay, so I think that's, oh yeah, this is very important. So at Ted Brown in Tacoma, we have 2 full-time music therapists, and we are doing these groups by different age and focus. From the left, yeah, thank you, Peter. From the left, Sprouting Joy is on Saturday morning. This is inclusive music therapy-based group for kids, families, their siblings together. It is a community group and focused on inclusion, bonding, and expression. And again, these all groups are DDA community respect eligible. And the middle is Harmony Connections. It is actually happening starting May. And 2 groups for youth and 1 for young adults. I mean, 1 for young youth and 1 for young adults. Same day, kind of back to back on Mondays for 5 sessions, I think. And we probably continue these groups into summer, but this is the spring schedule. Thank you, Patty. I will send you the flyers again so that you don't have to download this from here. Okay, Music Support Teens is specifically focusing on teen mental health. So it's a little bit more involved in like playing. So it's not required, but the therapist more talking about mindfulness and team group cohesion, stress management skills, and using a little bit more skill-involved instruments to do things. But if somebody you think might want to do this and you're not sure if that's a good fit, please just email us at musictherapy@tbmoutreach.org, and we are happy to answer any questions you have. Okay, So lastly, I said we have in total 3 music therapists, but the last therapist we just hired last week, so she doesn't have the headshot yet. Anyway, so we have 3 music therapists welcoming all of you. And we also do presentations for your organizations if you're interested. So just please email us, call us. And if you want to have my direct contact, I can put on the chat, and